All right, guys, it's Copper Colors, and it's a twofer type of Saturday. So, as you can see, we got everything pretty damn lit over here. Check that out. Again, we are at the mercy of the condition of the metal. It is porous. I cleaned the living crap out of this. I have to order up some well-through primer. This, you can see, the front of it had a little bit more pores than the rear. This came out pretty good, not bad. Here we got these lights. Where was the last one I worked on? I just positioned my shop lights, work lights, whatever you want to call them. These guys. There, it's pretty clean, not bad. And then we unpackaged our cage kit. And let me tell you, I was not expecting for all of the upper points to be pre-notched. So what we have to cut is the bottom tubes are going to have to get, obviously, cut to match the angle of the floor. That, we'll figure that out, right? Not a big deal. There's a couple ways of doing this. That's a flat surface. That's going to be easy. So the cool thing is, these are the two down tubes that actually make it an 8-point. That's our crossbar. That's a straight notch at 90 degrees. All right, so this is what's pretty cool. You got your down tubes for the rear at another 90 degree. Why? Because when you go to put these on here, they'll rotate anywhere. So then you just have to follow the lead at the back and profile the bottom. Boom, you're done. So that's like half the work is already done for the money. This is awesome. And then this is going to be our down tubes for the front. So they're going to sit approximately somewhere like in here. And we're probably going to have to do a little grinding to get it to mate up better. It might be somewhere lower in the car. I forgot exactly where. Oh, I got this thing flipped out. All right, let me flip this around because I actually marked it. My wife was out here with me. She helped me out. Put a couple of marks on this main hoop. You guys are hearing bing, bong, bing. Sounds like a Chinese restaurant here. All right, there's two dots. This is the high mark right here. This is where we're almost in line with the door edge on the car. And this is a little lower, which almost matches the profile a little bit better. And these lines are to reference between my elbow and my shoulder when I'm driving the car. So they want this down tube. From everything I've researched and consulted with, JJ has been of big help. They want this between your shoulders and your elbows. And all I can imagine is a taper, and it's not vertical. So I'm assuming that's driving position because you're more likely to get into a wreck driving the car than it parked. Although people drive like idiots, so getting hit at a standstill wouldn't surprise me. I got rear-ended last week. So, and also we still have to profile the bottom cut. So I'm going to spare you guys the details. I try to make my own contour gauge. That was such an epic fucking fail that I'm like, all right, I'm not going to waste time with this. I'm sure I can perfect it, but I'm just going to go ahead and order contour gauge and call it good. But so to be on the safer side, I think I'm going to go slightly, obviously these two dots here, I'm going to go kind of in between. And I would like the top to sit a little tighter, although right now we are tilted back. So if we were to tilt this forward at 90, actually these angles match up really, really well. God damn it, I can't do both. All right, there you go. See, it's about an 1/8 gap. It's not bad. It's about our material thickness. Let me hold it with my legs, like if you're crouching a 40. And there you go. You see, like that's actually pretty good. That's about, like they almost notch the tubes to where they know where they're going to land. And again, they're made for this chassis. So, and we got our plates Obviously, we're gonna have to trim these, but again, not a big deal. These will get kind of cut. You know, we already boxed the frame, so what I may do is I might actually mark these and bend them on the front, and then re-weld back up on the boxed portion of the frame, which is a little overkill, but you know what? I am liking that idea the more that I think about it, because we're going to be kind of clamshelling it at that point, and I can just hammer this corner down to match the flat, because there is a flat right here where my pinky is. And I'll mark it and I'll bend it. Try that. And then on the back here, we're going to definitely need some trimming of the plate. And then once we weld our tube, because we're going to end up kind of in this contoured area, so I'm going to trim this down, not, you know, to kind of profile this. And so what I'm going to end up doing is welding like half of it. And then, so what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up welding it here, setting up my main hoop, welding the main hoop, and then I'm going to hammer this all down and weld it to this, right at the parting line of the frame, which is going to need a little bit of weld work. This is the factory welding. I'm going to have to clean it up, weld it, and then we're going to hammer our plate down and weld it there. So that's what we got there. And then another cool little deal I got here is, can you guys make out that little tiny hole right there? Okay, this is why I did this. So I referenced the flat portion of our frame. Now, I was talking about in the one video about kind of triangulating and reinforcing this area. So by bringing our down tube into this area, we're going to use most of our plate on the spring perch, and then bring our down tube into it. So then we're going to have this here, and it'll be nice, and you know, hopefully no more of this shit cracking the frame, which, you know, I think the frame was just stressed and cracked because I was able to weld that crack right back. The steel was strong enough to take a weld. So, but yeah, we got our shit laid out. There's end caps everywhere. I got to clean up. And I know that I may have mentioned that the angle looked kind of weird. It's a little flatter on this side, but on that portion of the concrete, it's the edges for the framing, not the main slab. That's pretty level, and you can tell that it looks a little slightly different. Nothing big. You're not going to notice it in the car. Now, the other cool thing here, we got 3 types of different angle gauges. This one I would call about, you know, let's see, those are all degree marks. We are 1, 2, and about half behind the 30, so that's 27.5. And then we got this level, and we're pretty close. Now, this is where, this one's actually going to come in really handy because, you know, we're not going to be able to get our tubes like dead nuts. So this is where this tool is a little bit more forgiving, but you still have to reference, like, you know, how you're going to lay it out. And then I got this guy, 27.5, 27.4. There you go. It's settled in. So we're pretty close. And this one obviously moves. It tilts and you can lock it. So if we wanted to get it to 20, which actually it's really close to 27.5. Those are 5 marks in between, and we are in between the last one. So that's like 2.5. And we're pretty level. That's about 27.5 degrees. That's not bad. So we got 3 different types of degree gauges here that we're going to be utilizing. The digital one is good, and then the other thing I'm going to be doing is I went by the shop and I picked up, when I emptied out the Suburban, I had a conduit left over in there from when we ran at Indy. I made flagpole lights because the pits are really dark out there. And I got LED lights. So I'm going to be using this conduit to figure out my angles. So like the down bar in the one position where it's in between is going to be like right about here, if I remember correctly. And we're going to have to trim it back a bit and bring it down. So once the main hoop is in place, I'm going to be using like sacrificial conduit to kind of figure out the angles that we want. But those angles are going to be based off of the length because, again, our main hoop, your main hoop actually can be tilted to adjust certain things. That's actually specified in some of the rule books. But I want to keep it at 90 degrees, and we're able to. I got enough clearance and all that stuff. So we're going to be using that conduit kind of sacrificially to do what we need to do. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that, and we're on the roll. I got to absolutely thank my buddy, Dave Meyer. Years ago, he gave me this box of crap. It used to be full. Over the years, I've used a lot of these, angle grinder, 36 grit wheels. There's generic cutoff wheels. There's solder. There's biscuit wheels. I call them biscuits because it's funny. But surface prep clean discs. Oh God, this is coming so handy in this project. Like, I cannot thank him enough for that. I know he watches sometimes and follows sometimes. So thanks, Dave. And I am going to be borrowing his welder for this project. We're going to go pick it up tomorrow morning because even though I like my Lincoln welder, it works really good for what I'm doing at work. But the Miller is just a little bit better on the duty cycle. So I think we're going to be better off with the Miller. Obviously, the difference between welding the frame and the tubes is that you're going to give yourself time in between the welds and get stuff ready. And we got to clean the tubes, sand them, wipe them down with acetone. I mean, prep is going to be king here. And, I already blasted this with brake cleaner. This is dry, but I got to use acetone. I really like acetone over brake cleaner. And just clean it up with acetone and a Scotch-Brite pad, and then we're going to probably spray a little bit of weld-through primer. I am going to end up doing some russet welds on the plates themselves once everything is settled in. That's like cheap insurance, you know what I mean? So, yeah. The last thing that's going to be left to do is going to be figuring out the down tubes, which they're going to almost land where they need to. And I got to leave some talking for the next video. So I'll let you guys go. Once we get to that, that's got to get figured out once we do the main hoop. I realize I cannot touch that rear area. Those little holes are nothing, but that's kind of where I want to land. And obviously I'm going to cut big windows just like I did here because it's just sheet metal at this point. And we're going to be able to go in there, have more room to work. And obviously I cut that out and blah, 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 yada, yada. So I've made this long enough. I'll let you guys go. Bye.